Greetings and salutations, race fans, Dakar lovers and speed freaks, and happy Friday to you all, and welcome to Raceday.tv. I feel like a pilot who's just done his 35 hours of solo flying. It's the way that we roll. It's Fast Friday. It was today, Dakar. Stage 6 was the first day that they actually got into lots and lots of sand, and there were expectations of who was going to do what, and then there was reality, and reality's a bitch. It comes back to tell you what really is all about. My name is Colin, and this is Raceday.tv. This is our daily show that has a look at some of the insides of Dakar. We try and bring you some results, and we try and answer some of your questions. So if you've got anything to ask us, we've got a little bit of a tech team here. We've got a thing that's happening. Put your comments and your queries into the bar at the bottom, and we will get to them, and we will get to your answers. Welcome, and thanks for watching. So day 6. It went from Hale to Riyadh, 830 kilometers in total. 480 odd kilometers of racing. It's been a long, hard day for the races. The green line you see on the map is the route of the assistance crew. 840 odd kilometers they drove. They left at 8 o'clock our time this morning. They drove through the day. There's some epic stories of the journey through the day, through the roads of Saudi. The red line is the racing line, and you'll see that it goes through the desert. And the book, and there always is a book. Let's get rid of that map, Fritzy. The book always tells you the mix of what you can expect. Reality is something different, you know, theory and reality. And the theory is, and I'm going to read from the notes here, production department have been fantastic. Thank you very much for coming to the party. Got to have a big shout out to technical. They've been working super hard. So it said, dunes 19%, sand 71%. What's that? 71 and 19, maths, we great fans of maths, 90 odd percent, that was not rocks. So big difference. It was the change of terrain stage. And with the change of terrain came the hopes of the four-wheel drives of the Toyota Gazoo racing team, where they battled with the punches and the huge rocks, where the mini buggies, the two-wheel drives, they've got greater wheel travel. They also have the ability to change the pressures of the tires on the move, whereas on the buckies, they've got a limited wheel travel. And during scrutiny of the race, they actually check that. There's got to be solid stops on the bottom and the top. So they disconnect a shock and they move the wheel up and down, and that will tell them what it is, and they put a seal on it, so it's absolutely legit. So the theory was that the Toyotas were hampered in the rocks, and that they would come to life in the sands. But we also do know that within the previous years, in the altitudes of South America, when it went over 2,400 meters, the Toyotas got a break, and it was ruled as an high altitude event, and they could have a bigger restrictor. This event, they've got a 2 millimeter smaller restrictor than the diesels, and the diesels, of course, in the BMWs. Oh, I meant to say the mini buggies. They are proper BMWs. Show us that picture that is a mini, believe it or not. It's a mini buggy. You can clearly see the lineage back to 1964, 65, 66, when the mini won the Dakar Rally. It's so evident. But standing next to these beasts, and they truly are beasts. Let's have a look at a Toyota just in comparison. Pretty similar thing. Now, the essential difference between these two vehicles: four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive. Lots of suspension travel. Not so much suspension travel. Let's get rid of that picture. So you've got suspension travel. You've also got diesel. You've got petrol. Diesel, bigger restrictor, lots more power. massive amounts of torque. These things from 1,200 revs. The figures I was told, were, I can't believe them. So what happened during the day today? I've got some issues with this thing that's fallen between my leg. This thing here, check it out. This is my connection to the voices in my head, and it's supposed to sit there, and if you put your foot on it, then it comes away from there where it's supposed to sit, and you end up with a screw up. So this was a desert stage, the first of the proper sandy desert stages. This was the stage that the hopes of Toyota rested on. And what happened? Well, you're going to have to wait for the Toyota things, because first we're going to go to the bikes. And I'm a car guy. I'm learning about bikes. I love bikes. And Ian Pepper, thank you very much for your education last night on the Husqvarnas, the gases. Layla Saints is in a gas, on a gas. But what happened today? Let's have a look at the stage results from today. And then after this, we've spoken about the stage, we'll go to it. So there you see Ricky Brabak, the American, wins his second stage win of this year's Dakar. And he's on a quest to be the first American to win the Dakar overall. The fight, the Brabak Price fight, that was going to be the big thing. It wasn't to be. It was a damp squib. Price lost 16 odd minutes. He opened the road, which is always difficult, and then he got stopped and he had a whole bunch of cuck that went down. Second was Jean Barreda on the Honda, and Matthias Walkner was third. Pablo Quintanilla on the Husqvarna was third. So it's really not cool opening the stage. Dump the results there, Fritzy. And at kilometer 425, Price, he'd already lost 6 minutes there. And then he lost the rest, another 10 minutes at standstill. Kevin Benavides stopped 44 kilometers from the end with a broken engine. Heartbreak with broken engine. But he got towed out, and they'll be able to change the engine tonight. He'll take massive penalties for that. And he's been riding with his brother Luciano. South African interest on today's stage, Tay Perry having another stellar stage. This kid, we had her in the studio just before she left, and she was nervous AF. But it was great to see that going into an adventure. I mean, she'd done the Romaniacs and done Morocco Rally and all the rest of it. And the technology we've got is so cool. There's stuff happening over here. And, I love this shit. I mean, this stuff. So Tay Perry was 53rd today, hour 30 off the lead. 64th, Kirsten Landman, Kirsty from Ryobi. And it's so really nice to see a motorsport sponsor. Anybody who's involved in motorsport sponsorship, do yourself a favor, watch the Dakar coverage and the Ryobi advert at the end, and how they've linked in the product advertising into their motorsport thing. Really proper good marketing. There's one South African who we've missed, and who you would have missed, and I've just lost all of the sound in my ear. There's one South African who we've missed, and that was Ross Branch. And Ross had a proper absolute nightmare today. He finished, and the figures are just cruel. 79th, and I've got to hold this thing like that. There you go. So there's Ross, and he's pretty happy, and that's before he starts. He finished 79th and last, and he lost 2 hours and 24 minutes. It was a terrible day of surviving. At around about kilometer, it was about 180 kilometers to go, he had a puncture in one of the refueling areas. And he really, right, let's get rid of that. Now, have you got that other video that we've got there? But we're going to play the video just now, not now, because there's a story to come before the video, and this is just before the end. So around about 180 kilos to go, he's got a massive puncture, and he's now doesn't have a spare, and he doesn't know what to do, so he carries on riding. And then he rides 180 kilos on a pop wheel. I tell you what, if there's my Dakar hero is Ross Branch. He's won a stage. He's fallen off. He's ridden a stage in absolute agony. He's now finished a stage, and I want to show you this video of him at the end, 4 kilometers from the end. Check this out.
Ross is neutral. Hey? Is it neutral there? Ross?
I'm glad you understood that as well as I did. But let me translate from my best of Arabic and Spanish. What happened was at 4 kilometers from the end, his chain jumped off. So he stopped and they were trying to fix the chain, and he was battling like hell. And I don't have the rider who helped him. Portuguese rider arrives and tows him into the end of the stage and to the bivouac. 4 kilos from the end. How? There's only one word that we South Africans know, and that was a cock day. He ends up riding 180 kilometers on a pop wheel and on a rim. You saw what that rim looked like. Then his chain jumps off and he gets in there. And the video that I saw afterwards, he had I won't say a smile on his face, but he had a look of satisfaction of a man who's battled he's put everything into it, and he's battled and he got to the end. So he's lost. Bummer. So the overall is mixed up, and we're going to check out, but before we go there, overall bikes. Yesterday, Brabeck was in the front, Price was second by 9 minutes, Kevin Benavides, Paolo Quintanilla. Now we go to today, Friday's overall. Who's in front? Ricky Brabeck in the Honda, Paolo Quintanilla in the Husky, 20 minutes behind, and then Price in third, 25 minutes behind. You might look at that. Let's dump those results. And you might look at that and say, he's 20 minutes ahead. He's got this in the bag. Fritz, dump the results there. He's 20 minutes in the bag, but we're only halfway. 20 minutes is nothing. And for Honda, this is a big thing. For a first time in a long, long time, we've reached Raceday, and we've got 3 different manufacturers in the front. So, Ian Pepper, you'll be very pleased to know Paolo Quintanilla in his Husky, 20 minutes behind the Honda and ahead of Price. Layla Saints came in 18th as the first female, and then from a South African perspective, we had Ross Branch, who was 21st, he lost 3 hours 27th, and Tay Perry and Kirsten Landman. That was overall. Can we go to overall, please? We looked at the overall, sorry. Yeah, but the bloody production secretary, my 2 fingers, you've got to drag it down on the mouse. So in 18th, we've got, I just want to finish these female riders, because I think it's important that we put a bit of attention onto female riders. 18th is Layla Saints, who's the first female, and then from a South African perspective, we've got Tay Perry, and then in 60th position, and Kirsten Landman. In 64th position, 10 hours 43 behind. Now, before we go to the cars, we have my surprise for you, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and little furry animals. Put the children away, because in the house, on the other end of my line, in my ear, sitting in 4 ways, hopefully he does not have load shedding in 4 ways, we have Sasha Martinengo. Sasha, I hear noises. Are you there, my boy?
Hey,
how are you?
Here, my friend. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I see you in all your black and white glory. Where's the color?
Listen, I tell you, this technology's got me, Colin. Number one, I'm looking at the back of my camera because the front camera somehow isn't working. And number 2, why it's black and white, I've got no idea. But I can hear you, and that's the most important thing.
And we can see you. Sasha, I told you should have gotten an Apple, but no, you knew better. Sash, how cool is this Dakar? It is epic, it is magic, it is different, and it is exciting.
You know, for so many years we had it in Africa, Colin, and then when it went to South America, it was always a little bit more difficult to follow because of the hours and the time differences. And I wouldn't say I lost interest, but I wasn't as excited as I was as this year, for example.
It was difficult to follow, wasn't it?
I found it very difficult to follow. This year has been a lot easier because of the time difference, but also because, you know, our South African contingent is bigger and bigger every single year. And I mean, what our riders and drivers are doing is just wonderful to watch. I mean, it's really, really, it's heartwarming. You know, you get a good feeling when you see the results come out. You know how tough it is out there.
You know, we've had 6 stages today, and Janelle de Villiers becomes Windsor stage, which is freaking awesome. We're going to talk about the cars just now. We're going to get to the results of the cars and the influence that flu is playing into this, and sickness is playing into the results. So Janelle Windsor stage becomes the first guy to win on the African Dakar, the South American Dakar, and the Saudi Dakar, which I think is absolutely brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So, Sash, let's just get into the results there. So,
yeah, well, I mean, listen, you know, before we get into the cars, Colin, I just want to say, I mean, Tay Perry, Kirsten Landman, Ross Branch, yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, what a day he had today. But, you know, a lot of people, we sometimes overlook the mental strength that you have to have for this race. Besides the physical strength and the technical know-how that you have to have. I mean, seeing Fernando Alonso fixing wheels in his car was quite extraordinary to watch. But a guy like Ross Branch wins a stage early in the Dakar, and then all of a sudden, you know, has this problem with the tire today. And 4Ks, he loses his chain. I mean, I don't know if I would have just sat there and said, listen, bring the helicopter, take me home, I've had enough. But the mental power that everyone has for Dakar is just wonderful.
And the emotion from a couple of days ago, the absolute elation of winning your first stage on Dakar to today coming in last. I mean, that emotional roller coaster, it's, as you say, they tougher and better than we are, clearly because they're there. But it's an adventure of a lifetime. And I bet, even in the darkest of moments, they wouldn't give it up. They wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
Yeah, you've got to be a very special kind of person to take on something like Dakar. And, you know, they would have done the training. They would have most probably sat with sports psychologists or just normal psychologists, you know, just to get them into the right frame of mind for this kind of battle that they're on, and especially new people into this. You know, I'm talking of the Ross Branches, I'm talking of the Tays, I'm talking of the Kirsten Landmans, and of course all of the others as well, but those are the ones we're really focusing on. And they're doing such an extraordinary job, and I mean, this is an adventure. This is something that they will never, ever, ever forget. It's wonderful to watch.
Talking about never, ever forget, I'm looking at that shirt you've got. I'm shocked. You've been an alpha man all your life, and you've got a Lewis Hamilton shirt on, and we both love Formula One. And we know that Lewis Hamilton is probably the finest Formula One driver to walk this planet ever in the history of the world. And how cool was it to see him donate $500 million to help out in the Australian fires. So not only is, you know, I'm not a Lewis Hamilton fan, and I find it very difficult to like him, but I have the most hugest, immense respect for him as a driver.
Colin, listen, if you had given $500 million, I think the world would have gone crazy. He gave 500,000 euros.
Million,
and it's amazing.
Thousand, I mean, geez, it's a naught.
Well, just call you Jacob. I'm going to call you Jacob. And the crazy thing is unfortunately that, and people hate on him. Oh, but you earn so much money and you're only giving 500,000. I'm like, do me a favor. The guy's doing something at least to try and help. By the way, it is a Mercedes shirt, but it's a Michael Schumacher shirt. The Lewis Hamilton shirt I keep in.
Sorry, it's a little bit blurred from here, and I couldn't see it. Right, let's get into stop all of this bloody riff-raff. I'm excited about these results. I need my eyes. Show us, Henky, the stage results. So, no, I don't believe this. I really, really cannot believe this, where I've got the wrong bloody thing in front of me here.
What have you got?
All I know is that Stefan Peter Hansel won today, and I'm really.
Yeah.
It was Peter Hansel, Carlos Nasser, There you go. Sorry, wrong page. And same podium as yesterday and the day before and the day before. And the big dogs are out fighting in it, and it moved around fifth. And I think it was a really super result from Matthew Serradori. Fernando Alonso, and I want to go back and talk a little bit about Fernando Alonso in reference to Lewis Hamilton as well. Sixth position. Seventh, Bernard ten Brinker, still suffering from mega flu. I heard an interview with him, and the guy is super suffering. Janelle eighth, and Janelle has got to be disappointed with that. He's not feeling so lucky. Let's dump those results now, Henk. And 30th was Henny de Klerk, and 34th, Thomas Bell. Sasha, discussion earlier was about one of the guys saying that Fernando was one of the huge, great Formula One drivers. Two-time champion, could have been four-time. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. He doesn't stack up against Lewis, does he?
Well, I mean, listen, we're talking of Formula One. Lewis will go on and break Michael's record. So, I think everyone will have a talk about that. But, I think this has been a huge learning curve for Fernando Alonso, this Dakar. And we saw it on day 2 where he had the mega problems. And he's going to learn a lot from this. And I'll be surprised if he comes back next year. I'll be surprised.
I won't be. And because I've got some inside info. And one of the things when Glyn was taking him through the build up to this thing, and they said to him, you do know that this is the biggest thing that you're ever doing. And his comment was, well, he understands that it's the most dangerous thing that he's ever done in motorsport. And then it was, what is the level of challenge? And he said he understands it's the biggest, craziest thing he's ever done, but he's up for it. And I'm convinced that he's got the balls, the guts, the stuff inside. Never mind the phone calls from the car, McLaren that he was driving, bitching about the Formula 2 engine that he had. He's got that hardness and inside on the one hand, to drive it through to the end, and the humility to be a really great guy. Sasha, last thoughts from you on Dakar for today, because I believe we're going to be seeing a little bit more of you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being in studio with you guys next week, Colin, just to get towards the end of Dakar. I think it's been wonderful, and there's one thing I want to say about Fernando Alonso. I didn't expect to see a guy like Alonso underneath his Toyota, trying to repair wheels and changing things and really getting stuck in the way that he has. So I think that's been extraordinary. Many are in another level. NASA's got a big fight, and these next few days, even though they've got a rest day now, the next few days should really help NASA. But Toyota have got a bit of a mountain to climb, pardon the pun, in Saudi Arabia if they want to beat the Minis, that's for sure.
They got dunes to climb. Sasha, enjoy your Friday evening. I know it's Frisky Friday. Have fun and be safe. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks for joining us. That, guys, is Sasha Martinengo live from Fourways. But I love this bits of technology. Thank you very much for joining us, Sash. So let's have a look at the overall results. And the question is, we could have, we're going to try and get the overall results there, Fritzy. Overall for cars, the result, it basically stays the same. Carlos, Nasser, Stefan, Yazid, check there's another Toyota there, Orlando Terranova, and Serradori in the Century. What you don't, the gaps at the moment, Nasser's 5 minutes 39 behind, and that's manageable. Stefan Peter Hansel, those guys that's the heavyweight fight of the world. And the fact that you've got 2 Minis versus 1 Toyota, it sounds, yes, they start with 3-minute gaps, but the Mini in front, so Stefan Peter Hansel will start Sunday stage in front. He's got the safety, the confidence to know that he's got a teammate behind him. So if anything happens, he gets stuck, anything gets broken, the two of them can work together and fight against it. It's not so lacquer that NASA needs somebody really close to him. And I think that we'll talk about what happens during Raceday and where it's going. So in the overall, and just before we go to out of the top 10 of the overalls, if you've got any questions or comments or anything, type it in the thing out. We've got technology for days here now, so that it will come to me and we will try and answer them, and you might even feature on the screen. And Ian, I hope the color is a little bit better today. We know that we were looking a little bit washed out and anemic. I had my vitamin B12 and B whatever, what tablets today. 16th overall, Fernando Alonso. He's 3 hours 16 behind, and one of the big goals for Fernando on this rally when they were going into it was to get into the top 10. And you know, without the poo that he had with taking the wheel off, he would be there without a doubt. And then the South African contingent of the Red Line Motorsport cars, Henny de Klerk and Johan Smallberger in their Nissan, they're 36, and then 44th, Thomas Bell and Patrick McMurran, and they are, you know, they're 34 hours off, but they've got a whole lot of penalties. So from a car point of view, last 2 days has been kind of static, but it has been immensely, it's been absorbing from my point of view to see the fight between the Mini and the Toyota. And yes, the Toyotas are battling with being down on power because they're down they're not going up high, so they're running the same size restrict, or 2 millimeter smaller restrictor than the Mini. So the next racing days, which is Sunday and Monday, are going to be very important. We're going to run through the quads very quickly. Simon Vitesse wins from Ignacio Casale. Casale is still ahead. He's got an hour ahead of it. So kind of on the quads, you've got to say it's sort of done. Francisco Lopez wins in the SSVs, which brings us to tomorrow. Oh, and the Russians winning in the trucks. But you knew that because they're trucks. And the Russians and the Kamazes and the EVs, they come and they win in the trucks. That's just kind of a given. So let's have a look at what's going to happen tomorrow. It's a rest day. Dakar has always been split into sections. Basically, you race during the week and rest one day on the weekend. And this is the compact Dakar is a 2-week event. It used to be a 3-week event, but it makes sense to make it a 2-week. And in the 3-week events, or 2-week events, you split on, in South America it was a Sunday, in Saudi Arabia it's a Saturday, which is their equivalent of a Sunday. And tomorrow, Saturday, is rest day. So all of those guys, the 70 odd cars that made it into rest day, is the first major tick that they've done, is that they finally got to rest day. It's rest day for the drivers, some of them, but it's hard work day for the crews. We've got an idea of the bivouac in Riyadh, and in Riyadh for the first time it's all nicely tarred. And while it's all tarred, Fritz, can you bang that picture of the bivvy with the tar on it? And the temperatures are not that bad in Saudi. In the morning, it was 2 degrees this morning, for instance, when they left the bivouac, and it gets down really cold in the evening. But during the day, as long as the sun is shining, it's quite nice. So the tar gives them a little bit of a respite from the dust, and they're able to, you can bang through the photos we've got of the bivvy there, Fritz, and it gives them a bit of a chance to actually do some work on the car. So there are 2 parts of the work that's on the car. One is to repair any of the damage that was done on the car and any issues that the drivers have reported. That's number 1. And then number 2 is to go through their planned maintenance program, because a lot of the parts, particularly on the front, the sharp end of the field, they've got life expectancies on them, and they know that at rest day you want to replace wishbones, gearboxes, clutches, diffs, dampers, probably control arms, have a look at the steering, and have a thorough look over the engine. So a lot of the suspension components, wheel bearings will also get looked at, drive shafts, prop shafts, all those. The drive shafts will generally be come out, be serviced and ready as backup spares, and new drive shafts go in. So there's maintenance, and it's preventative maintenance. Not that because if you have a breakdown of something because you just ran it to the end of its life, it's a freaking disaster. This is Dakar, the biggest motorsport event in the world. Although the Americans with Indy will have a go at it. So they're going to do their rebuild, and the teams will work hard. And the concept is to finish before 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The crews, the teams are going to love this day, because tonight they'll be sleeping in a hotel. They'll have a proper shower and a proper, there'll be carpets, and there'll be stuff, and it'll be kind of civilized. They'll be out of a tent, and they'll be able to do some maintenance on the bodies and that sort of stuff. So the crews are going to love Friday night and Saturday night, which will be in the hotels. It's a mega treat, and to eat some hotel food and the restaurant food and stuff like that. So that's a mega treat. The drivers, apparently you've got a question. So, yes, Sean Verveld. Sean, yeah, but lost the document with all the answers on it. Sean, watch tomorrow. If I don't give it to you tomorrow, my pen, because sometimes the electronics don't work so lekker. Sean, the production guys are telling me, making notes. I apologize for that. I did do the research, and we'll get to it, Sean. So the answer, it was here. And I've got Alzheimer's. I forget these things. If it's not written down, bing, it's like butterflies and moss. There's a whole lots of stuff. So I promise you tomorrow, Sean, we'll come, and who and when, what and what and how and why. So the drivers, the sharp end of the drivers, what are they going to do tomorrow? They're going to rest. They're going to sleep. They probably will wake up early as well, because you don't want to break your sleep rhythms, because then day after rest day, that's a bitch of a day, because you've disturbed the rhythm, you've disturbed the car, and then stuff comes back to give you a wake up. We also, and in the map behind me, you'll see the side. You'll see as they come down over here, if you look at the map, it's the right-hand side of Dakar, even though it's got my left hand. I can't know my left from my right. I feel like a weatherman. And over here, we have a little bit of a sand, and there's some dunes. And here, there's a whole lot more dunes, and then there's more dunes there. So the second half of the Dakar, down the right-hand side, is sand and dunes. And then this is, oh man, look at that. That's a blooming Treasury One bucky going through. It's sand. It's lovely. It gets into every orifice that is known to man, and sometimes that is not known to man. So, but that we can expect on Sunday. Tomorrow, the top end of the drivers, they will wake up and go through some proper food, have a bit of a chilled beginning, and then start the media and the sponsor commitments that they've got. And it's a busy, busy day. Talking of rest days, and by closing my notebook, we're getting to the end of the show. We are not going to rest. We have got some surprises for you tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of ad hoc stuff that is, we're going to interview people there. I'm putting it out there. We've made some commitments, and we're not going to rest. We're going to try and uncover some of the stories and get to talk to people that we can't normally talk to while the race is on. And that, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and little furry animals, brings us to the end of tonight's show. It's been an absolute blast. It's been very interesting. We will join us tomorrow. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Raceday.tv channel, it'll give you a bell when we go live, and you'll be able to catch us live and make comments. Otherwise, you'll be able to catch us on the Raceday channel. Keep the comments coming. We love them. We love the interaction. It kind of drives us. We are here doing this for you. We're here doing this so that we can share the love and the passion that we've got for South African motorsport. And if you want to share any of our content, feel free. We love it. We are merely a conduit to bring you the good and the great, the heroes and the stuff of South African motorsport. It's not about us. It's not about us being heroes. It's about motorsport and growing motorsport. So we're just the link between the action and the fans. Engage with us, talk to us, share with us, and whatever you want to share from raceday.tv, feel free. Send it out there. Spread the good news. Share the love of racing, because we love racing. Thanks a lot for joining us. Be safe, be lekker. Talk to you tomorrow. Cheers.